I washed my hair and I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not. It's no wonder I can't get anything done. Yeah. That little old lady's interrupting me. Did you want to say hi, Vido? Come on. Come on. Oh, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Oh. Okay. So let's start at the beginning. You know, I actually didn't want to post this video. I spent a day making a drawing and it didn't come out the way I wanted to. It didn't come out like my mind's eye. So here we are starting the process, and something that kind of like boggles my mind a little bit is that artists, they just pull this stuff out of their butt. Like, that's the wild thing. How you doing? And so to me, that's kind of like the thing I have to constantly remind myself. So what's wild to me is that like artists are required to pull this stuff out of nowhere. I'm here watching the replay of the video of what's probably like a month ago for me. And I'm seeing the elements come together. I know that... Could you stop fidgeting? Say hello. At least say hello. Yeah, you're a big lady and you're being very grumpy. I had this idea that if you look at some of the other videos, if you're so bold, you can see how there's a thought process going on. Take a small thing, make it into multiples. I think this is a continuation of my other art practice, where working in multiples is kind of like people. You know, when there are a lot of us, we can be a whole new beast when it's just a singular version. So here I am just kind of sketching out. I can't even see that I have a reference to anything, which is kind of the wild thing. I use a lot of references in my work, pulling things up. Pinterest is my biggest unofficial sponsor. I mean, I must have like 4,000 pins at this point. And Moonflower has its own board. I can't remember if it's public or not. And so I like this idea of this crescent shape flying towards an unknown. There's this point in Moonflower where his depression and loneliness gets to him because his duck has been, in essence, missing. We don't know if the duck has the same fate as his parents or what, but all of a sudden, in this bleak, dark moment, he hears that his duck is alive and it's on one of these race ships. And he summons all his might in spite of the limitations of the moment, which is this double new moon. So his equipment's all solar powered, and in that new moon, there's no light hitting the Earth or hitting the moon at this point. And somehow he jerry-rigs all this stuff together, and he activates some program that launches it towards the duck. I think the duck has like a ankle monitor at this point in the book. It's a naughty duck, and so it kind of has ended up in that state. So here he is flying off into the unknown. And really what I'm staring at here is the like embarrassment of like, oh God, like my inking has gotten better since this image. The pens I've changed have helped quite a bit. And I think that's the thing that I forget about, is that like the more I do this, the more I make, the more it gets better. And as I make the novel, I think I have to really break it up into irregular moments so that the progression of skill and talent into this thing really hides itself. That's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like keep the viewer from the spell from being broken. Like, this is a fantasy. This is about a florist in space who's an orphan, somehow surviving these kind of really tragic circumstances. Very loosely based on a collage of characters that I've run into from all my odd jobs and work gigs. This is like an amalgamation of everything. So here we are. We're making a book. It's wild, it's crazy, it's been a journey to get here. To get to this, what is ultimately a test page. I did a lot of test pages, a lot of character tests. I have a wall, I have journals, I have books upon books of just figuring out what was going to work, mostly to train my hand to get fast enough. We're going to call this a midlife crisis. I don't have a better term for this. This was me at 38, seeing 40 around the corner, and having survived near death and business collapse and selling and grad school and everything that I could have thrown at me in a short period. And then what? Like, what is it all for? You know, if you can't look back and say, I was proud of what I did, then what was I doing it all for? So that's sort of how this book got its start. This is a moment in my life where I was a florist, delivery guy, running flowers all over the place, and I saw a different type of world through the eyes of a florist delivery guy than anything else. And I kind of wanted to just play with the story of what rules were overlooked because of this special powers of like flower delivery. And you can see this world grew and grew and grew and grew out of these just little sort of like logic problems. Like, how does Al, our main character, Althea, how do they deal with the lack of food, or how do they deal with lack of income? How do they survive on the moon without main sources of like oversight and help? And, you know, how do people just survive? I think I asked that about myself quite a bit, and so I think that's how I sort of personified my main character through my own interactions. Here this cloud of dust is being drawn and kicked up, trying to find that balance of like how much is good detail and how much is too much. I don't know. I don't think you can ever have too much like detail in dust. It's gritty, it's a texture, but I know that this is being stirred up by his Molns. It's the Swedish word for cloud, so in case you're wondering what that is, I found this interesting symbolism in a cloud. Ooh, I think I smell something burning. Hold on. Okay, so I know I'm rambling. So in Moonflower, the main way that his family gets to handling the problem on the moon. The biggest issue is that the problem on the moon is that the moon has ice, and they turn that into water, and they mined it, and that's what the duck drinks that makes it sick. Sick being kind of a stretch of a word. It makes sense plot-wise, but what we see in the scene is that the character is flying through the ice mining rift. It's this giant like gash in the moon that faces the Earth that Earth is tired of staring at, so they sent his parents to deal with the problem. So Al is technically an Earth kid who mainly grew up out in this rural area of the moon. And when he's on the moon, he's just seen as an outsider. So when his world is kind of destroyed, he has nothing but himself and the duck. So that's why this duck is really important. So here I am cleaning up all the pencil marks. You can see that it's just a piece of paper taped to a desk. Ta-da! And then I tried this, and I'm still going back and forth on it, where I pencil in the shadows to give it a little bit of like tonal separation. I don't know, like at this phase before the pencil marks go on, it just feels like a coloring book. And when you'll see me scan it in, color it. I think the tonal nature helps, but I'm not sure that I'm ultimately going to keep it. This is probably going to go to Webtoons or another like digital service, and so it being easier to scale and faster to make, I may have to sacrifice this pencil. And so that's why I do these test pages to see how the whole thing's going to work. Another thing that I would probably do differently is I would physically separately draw each one of these little panels here. It'll give me some ability to digitally tighten this stuff up. It's just part of doing the test is you learn what works and what doesn't work, and I don't feel bad about that. I learned that this was not quite the character's face that I had agreed upon, and when I drew it I was like, oh darn, this isn't gonna work. So I had to go back and redraw several other iterations to make sure this nose of mine that has sort of come through in the character, really, not the nostrils, those are mine, you can't put that in the book, but those little elements that really felt like the character is being represented by me, yeah, I wanted those in there. So yeah, this desk has seen some wear and tear. Okay, here you see me fancy scanning it in. So here it is digitized. I colored in on Procreate. This is like the fast version of it, so we're gonna wrap this up and stop blabbling. I put him in a green helmet. I think I changed that later on. The plumes are pink. The character was always gonna have this whole thing about being pink and green to kind of show the contrast of the vegetation and the world around him. Ultimately, I think I settled on the character being more red, and his, like, you can see the stars coming out, and you can find the vibe here. And this is kind of what I like, is like when things really start to come together, they feel like they're working. And look at it, all those little subtle things to build up to this moment, and just the little final nudges to make it all work. That's kind of what I work towards. And there it is, a little test page to get a little bit of that Moonflower moment. All right, I'll see you guys with the finished version pretty soon.